Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you have my video?
My video? Your video is fine. I'm not showing my face today.
Okay, it's looking a bit dark. Okay. Ola and Jane, I hope you guys are not able to put on your video. Can you check your video and your audio and let me know before I put you to co-host? Can you type in the chat? Okay, both audio and video, yeah? All right. Okay. If you have tested the audio of the video?
Yes, I have. What?
I'm really hoping not to do a lot of today. I'm not in the mood. But it's PowerPoint presentation. Panel session. Safety.
I wanted for you to come to this office to see the stacks of paper. Anyway, I'm 200.
Can you imagine? Is it done? Is it done with the last 30?
Some of them are not good, so you have to reprint, but yeah.
Okay, thank God I asked him to buy extra papers. I see Nick on the call. Let me bring him in. I've not seen Aisha. I think I'll just change my position. It's okay. I'll have to settle for this. Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
Hi there, I'm doing great, thank you. What about yourself?
Yes, I'm doing well. Great to have you on the call. Thank you for joining early.
Of course.
All right, so we'll kickstart in the next 1 minute. And so I would be having a couple of introductions based on the agenda before we dive into the presentation part for the speakers. So I'll be introducing you right then. And when it's time for you to make your presentation, I'll make you a co-host so that you can mute and unmute and share your screen as well. Okay. All right, so it's on the clock. We will go live shortly. All right, the participants are joining. And we will remove the restriction on the waiting room so that they can join at once. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. Welcome to First Thursdays. We're excited that you've joined us this afternoon or evening or morning, whatever part of the continent you are. Thank you for making the time. As usual, First Thursdays is a monthly session where we bring you fantastic insights, opportunities to connect with each other, and of course, updates and opportunities in the agribusiness landscape. Quite a number of participants have registered to attend this event, so we will crave your indulgence to allow for a few minutes to you early birds that have joined us right on time. So we crave your indulgence for a few minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, so that other participants can join us. In the meantime, let's have some of our customary African beats. All right. Once again, welcome to First Thursdays. My name is Rahmat Infujowo, and I'll be your host for First Thursdays today. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of First Thursdays. As usual, as you know, this is a monthly session where we bring you wonderful insights about the agribusiness landscape in Africa. We bring you opportunities and updates in the sector that are critical for your agribusinesses. And we bring you up-to-date information that you can use for your businesses. Thank you for making the time for joining us today, and we hope that you will have a fantastic time. So today we have actually partnered with Bopinc that is going to, you will be interacting with somebody from Bopinc later today. But in the meantime, we want to launch a poll to get to know you and your business, especially where you're joining us from and your expectation for today's First Thursdays. So we implore you to take the poll appearing on your screen while we continue with the program. The poll should be on your screen right now. We will keep it open for a couple of minutes. And we will go straight into the agenda. We will have the introductions. I see that some of you have started the introductions already. Let us know about you. Start with your name, your organization. Put that in the chat box. Let us get to know one another. After the introductions, we will be sharing some critical opportunities for you that are relevant for your agribusinesses. Then we will move on to the insights from our guest speakers from Bopinc and from Farms to You. Then we will have our interlude session where we will have you, the participants, share your key takeaways and experiences based on the topic for today. And then we will wrap up the session after the interlude. Next slide, please. So as you might be aware, we have some housekeeping, and these are first to ensure that you're mute, that you keep your videos off. We have expression buttons for you to call for attention. You can use the raise hand button, you can use the clap, you can use the thumbs up. And of course, Nourishing Africa team members are available within the chat to provide links and guidance as we progress into the conversation. So it's time to introduce ourselves. As I mentioned, please introduce yourself using the chat box. Let us know your name, the name of your business, and your country of operation. And feel free to inbox directly somebody who you feel is of interest to your business. So for a number of you who might not be aware or do not know about Nourishing Africa, we know that we have some joiners, repeated joiners for First Thursdays. I would quickly run through what we do at Nourishing Africa. So we are a knowledge and membership platform aimed at scaling African agri-food businesses. And how we do this is in three ways. First, we have the membership portal that is a thriving digital community of agri-food entrepreneurs across 34 countries in Africa currently, where they interact, share opportunities with each other, and we also share opportunities in the landscape with them that cuts across funding, data, learning resources, training, and so on. We also involve in capacity and capacity building, where we facilitate strategic offline and online convenings and trainings directed at agri-food businesses to help them to scale their businesses and build capacity for themselves and their team. We also implement support programs in partnership with various development institutions and organizations, all aimed at helping agri-food businesses to build sustainable and profitable businesses through funding and training. And so at this point, we will be sharing a few opportunities for you for the agribusinesses on the call. Of course, First Thursdays is for agribusiness after all. So I will invite my colleague, Ola Jumade, to share these opportunities with you, from funding to capacity building and so on. There is a lot of exciting opportunities for you out there. Ola, are you on? Okay. So Ola should be able to come on now. Right.
All right, thank you, Ramat. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'll be quickly taking us through a few opportunities, and of course, there are lots more which you can access through the hub itself. So for funding opportunities, we have the best small business, good for all competition, and that is open to all countries. The deadline is for May 17th. So please apply to that opportunity as soon as possible. We also have the Go Getters Agripreneur Prize for year 2021, which is also open to all countries. And they are providing investments to businesses. And the deadline for application to that is June 14. Then we have the Founders Factory Africa, which is open to Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. And though the deadline is rolling, but you also want to get in your applications as soon as possible, you could access more through the links as dropped in the chat by my colleagues. Also, we have the capacity building opportunities for you. We have the Advanced Leadership Program, which is open to all countries. It is a training and it has a deadline for application for June 4th. We have the WE4F East Africa opportunity, which is focused at countries from East Africa. Also a training with a deadline for application for June 15. We also have the UNFPA Climate Act Lab capacity building opportunity open to all countries, and the deadline is rolling. But of course, get in your applications as soon as possible. And for events, we have the International Day for the Fight Against Illegal, Unreported, and Unregulated Fishing. And it is an online webinar happening on the 4th of June. We also have the big one, which is the Nourishing Africa at One Virtual Roadshow, brought to you by Nourishing Africa. And it is going to be an online networking event running from June 18th to July 15th. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one, which you should try to join every single day. You won't regret joining. And of course, we have the Agribusiness Investment Finance Deal Making Workshop, which is for June 21, also an online workshop. You could access more events through the links as dropped in the chat boxes. We also have the trainings and workshops page through which you can access over 50 online courses, and through it, entrepreneurs and their workforce can improve their skills and gain knowledge on a variety of topics. As shown, you could see some of them there, the WIPO Academy bringing you the IP Panorama course, and many others which you can access through the link as shown in the chat.
Thank you so much for sharing those opportunities with us. I would encourage all participants to actually use the links that have been dropped on the chat box to access these opportunities. So we understand that the landscape is full of all these opportunities that are not getting to the agribusiness SMEs, and we have made it our business to bring you these opportunities. So visit the Nourishing Africa Hub, www.nourishinafrica.com, to gain access to a whole lot more. There is a whole lot more on the hub. So without further ado, we will get right into the insights from the guest speakers. And today's topic is on innovating for low-income local markets. And there has been a lot of conversations in the ecosystem as to, can agri-food businesses actually be profitable if their products, if their services are targeted at the low-income consumer markets. But the thing is, a whole lot of activities in the agriculture ecosystem is actually focused on the low-income consumer markets anyway. There is the general definition for smallholder farmers, placing them at the BOP, that is commonly known as bottom of pyramid. And there are the average consumers out there, which form the bulk of the population of the African continent. And so it is really important that agri-food SMEs out there understand what is going on at these local markets and understand how to bring their businesses to these consumers, because they form the bulk of the population anyway. And to drive this conversation, we have brought to you two seasoned experts that will be contributing to this conversation and sharing their insights with us. And so we have first Nick. Let's have Nick. I want to see that you can hear us and speak to us. So I will be reading out Nick's profile. In the meantime, Nick, you can actually proceed to share your screen while I read your profile. So Nick is the project manager at Bopinc and supports organizations to develop and implement marketing and business strategies in low-income markets in order to reach scale. By applying a multidisciplinary approach, he is able to work across the various industries where he combines business, marketing, and design practices. His aim is to develop, together with partners and clients, innovative marketing approaches that help inclusive businesses to thrive in meaningful ways. A central part of Nick's work is to apply user-centered design processes and to conceptualize and test pilots. Nick's experience in the field of entrepreneurship enables him to proactively support businesses' development across the innovation cycle, from ideation, opportunity identification, to business plan development and implementation of pilots. So you will see that Nick is actually quite the right expert to talk to us on innovating for low-income consumer markets today. And so I will leave the floor for Nick to do justice to the topic, and I can guarantee and assure you that this is going to be quite an exciting and insightful experience. Nick, over to you.
Great, thank you for the intro, and thank you for inviting me. If I'm not audible, then please do let me know. It's an honor to be here, and I'm happy to talk more about some of the work we've been doing and hopefully provide you with an inspirational afternoon. I'll try to show a lot of slides and a lot of pictures, so It will have a sense of watching a good Netflix series on your Thursday afternoon, but then completely focused on nutrition, innovation, and marketing and distribution for the BOP. So if we're all good, then let's go. First, I just want to share a little bit about what we do, as it will also explain more in depth some of the work that we'll be showing and what our thoughts are behind it, or the bigger vision, let's so to say, on innovation. And after that, I will provide some real in-depth practical cases, both from a multinational as well as a local SME that has developed innovative approaches on marketing and distribution foods to the low-income market, or the BOP. Both of these products are processed products, but I know I saw a lot of people also here from the fish industry, piggery, and so forth. And I think some of these tactics also would be relevant to you. So about us, we're a small nonprofit NGO based in the Netherlands. We have about 70 people, 50 of our people work in Asia and Africa. I'm also here because one of our directors from Kenya was hindered. So that's why I'm speaking here. And what we do is we basically help both startups and multinationals to develop inclusive business models and help them to implement and scale those in both Africa and Asia. What we do is we try to basically bridge the gap between the private and development sectors. So we do have a commercial heart. We always work with the private sector. But as you know, there are so many opportunities to make good collaborations with the nonprofit sector as well. But sometimes that needs to have a little bit support, and that is where we play a sort of facilitating role. That also allows us to work with a very wide range of organizations. So we work both with SMEs, multinationals, and as I said, also with donors, governments, sector support organization, let's say the whole bunch. As said, our biggest focus is on both Africa and Asia, where we have a office in Kenya and Bangladesh, and specifically in Africa, we are operating mostly in Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Ghana, and Ivory Coast, with our biggest teams in both Nigeria and Kenya. So I already saw that there were quite some businesses from Nigeria. So happy to see you guys being part of this call. So as Bopinc, we basically provide three core focus areas. The first one is on we call inclusive innovation, but it's basically supporting organizations in their product and service development. And that, especially for nutrition, boils down to how do I develop new nutritious products for the low-income markets that, of course, have a potential to boost business. The second and maybe more prominent question is, once I have a product, how do I market and distribute it? How do I make sure that it, reaches that low income segment? And how do I make sure that obviously people will purchase the product? And that is where we have built quite some track record. And that is also the two cases that I will show going to be focused on. And lastly, we provide services on what we call inclusive business empowerment, which is really providing training to, again, both SMEs and multinationals on how to build these models and how to make them successful. I'll skip this slide. I think in this space, and that's also related, I think, to the core of this webinar is, innovation. And I think that is core at our organization. And we really try to work with sort of 5 rules that helps to guide us through this complexity of innovation. And the first one, and I think that's really at the core, is to put the consumer first. So we are a very human-centered design organization. We try to put the end consumer always at the core of our work. And that is really the focus point for a lot of our interventions and innovation processes, because they eventually, of course, will decide whether or not your business will succeed. Secondly, we obviously need to be local and on ground. So that is why, again, the majority of our team is operating in those countries that matter most. And that allows us also to be innovative and agile. I'm pretty sure all of you are aware of some of these programs that can be pretty complex to move. Some product development, some programs can be pretty lengthy. We try to, keep it snappy, keep it agile. And again, combined with that consumer-focused approach is a bit of our novelty, I would say. Last two things are that we want to make people dance together. Of course, it's important that all these partners go along. And eventually, of course, is that everything we do should have a very strong business angle so that eventually it will sustain and scale. I'll skip this as well. One particular program I wanted to mention here, it's one of our biggest programs that we're involved in, and I think it's very relevant for all the people in this audience as well, is the 2-Scale program. So for people that don't know this program yet, it's one of the largest agribusiness incubators in Africa. It operates in 2 countries in East and I think 7 in West. You can see the countries there. So it's Kenya and Ethiopia in East, and then Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, and Uganda. Oh, sorry, these are outdated. And Nigeria in West. And what it basically is about is a value chain, has a value chain approach. So it includes several interventions based around several value chains and they try to have a holistic approach involving all the different actors from the value chain. So whether you're a processor or aggregator or a company really in sales and distribution, this program is pretty interesting for you, and it is still running for a number of years. So do have a look. I won't go in depth about all the ins and outs of the program as it is pretty extensive, but I just wanted to show you one of the cases that we're very fond of. That was Guts Agro in Ethiopia. In this program has supported this business to not only develop certain more nutritious foods, such as fortified corn soy blend, or simply put porridge, but it also has helped a local processor to develop an innovative marketing and distribution model, working together with a large group of women that actually go door to door and sell products directly to the consumer. This model was set up part of the program and has continued to sustain and grow in a number of cities. And we find this a very interesting way to, again, innovate in this marketing and distribution domain. And I'll show you more examples of this later on. So nutrition in low-income markets, innovations in low-income markets, just some challenges, opportunities that we just wanted to share and highlight again our view. I think especially when we talk about nutrition or food in general, I think what happens a lot is that organizations and sometimes even businesses are a bit focused on promoting the healthy benefits, as you see in the right-hand pictures. But we know that the people don't decide based on elaborate info and what's or not. And we think at the core, again, if we put our consumer first, then we realize that we need to be more relevant, more trending with actually the not only the needs but also the wants of our end consumer. So for example, what you see here again is whether you inform businesses about your product via more of a information sharing type of setting, or actually where you have a more techy promotion about, for example, Mother's Day, the family, and so on. The left ad is from Africa Improved Foods from Rwanda. And that sort of goes in a lot of things. So sometimes we would do this in a poll, but I think all the answers are so straightforward. I think, again, if you think about marketing and distributing nutritious foods in low-income markets, sometimes it's just very easy to put yourself in the shoes of this end consumer. And again, are they interested necessarily in a healthy product when you have fresh mandazis around the corner? If they would be able to prepare a lunch if they go to work, yeah, of course that would be better. But most often they buy, you buy from local street vendors. Also, we know several organizations that have tried to take very healthy foods, sometimes therapeutic foods, and try to commercialize them in the market. But again, if they don't change even the look, the feel, the packaging, then obviously that won't have an uptake. So this is the same product, but just with a completely different marketing angle. And of course, the right example, having a much bigger uptake than the left in the commercial domain. And we have several of these cases. Even this one is an important one where DSM had a nutritious powder. On the left, you had the first version, which had a blank packaging. Again, didn't look very appealing. And the right one, they really paid attention to making sure that this product met also the wants of the consumer. and it actually had a good uptake. And this is a example from Asia, by the way. Skip that one as well. So now, having provided the intro, I will spend the last 10 minutes on two cases, as I promised. One is on from a multinational, the Unilever in Nigeria, and the other one is from a SME in Kenya. And I want to talk about specifically, again, innovative ways of marketing and distributing products to low-income segments. And when we try to push this innovation in this marketing and distribution, we have a particular behavior change model. Now, you might say, why behavior change? And that is because if you want the end consumer to really pick up a product that might be a bit of a novelty, you do require some level of behavior change, right? You need to let go his old behaviors, try to pick up new behavior, and to have an elaborate and let's say thought through strategy really can make the difference. And as a model for that, we have used a model called 5 levers for change. This model is partly developed by Unilever, and it basically has 5 certain steps. Sorry, just taking a break there. The 5 steps are basically a way to, again, think through how you can accomplish behavior change. And we often use this model also in workshops, so that we think of several ideas on these 5 elements and then eventually try to integrate them in one single campaign that can eventually be rolled out. So I will show you how we apply this. So don't worry if this still is rather abstract. In the next slide, you will see how we applied it. So the first step is to make it understood. So if you're trying to sell a product with certain benefits, again, how do you get the end consumer understand, again, how do you make it understood what your product is about, what the benefits are? Second is that it's helpful if you make it easy and fun. So again, instead of trying to elaborate on all your benefits and so forth, try to see if you can make it snappy, easy, and fun. The third area is that you try to make your proposition more desirable. So again, whether you're trying to sell dairy, beans, again, how can you build a campaign or something related to your marketing that makes it more desirable? And fourthly, can you make it rewarding? So are there certain ways you can think about that the actual uptake of this new behavior, meaning the purchase of your product, gets rewarded? And lastly, can you make it a habit? Because ultimately, you're not going to win the game by selling a single unit. You know, you want to make sure that these people buy your product every day, every week, every month. And that's the end goal. So as said, we would try to work with companies, come up with ideas of all these 5 fronts, and then build it in a campaign. So the first example I want to give you is an example from Unilever, they Knorr. And basically, Unilever came up with a new product, which was iron-fortified bouillon cubes. So as people might know, iron deficiency is a huge problem all across Africa, but especially also in Nigeria. And Unilever wanted to tackle that with a fortified bouillon cube, but also by promoting the use of green leafy vegetables because they're iron-rich. So in a nutshell, you could say what did Unilever had as an objective was to sell these cubes and promote the use of vegetables. But instead of building, let's say, a very lengthy, boring campaign, they turned it into very snappy. They called it the toss, stir, and crumble. So toss relating to the vegetables you need to throw in your food. Stir is when you stir together with your stew, and crumble is when you ultimately add the cubes. And as you can see, you know, this whole campaign looked appealing, it's snappy, and of course they had some decent budgets to spend, so they managed to get some Nollywood star to be featured in it as well. And they actually turned it in a very cool video. For the sake of time, I won't play it, but look it on YouTube. It's super cool. You know, very cool people having a dance, and they really build a song around this toss, stir, and crumble. If I could sing, I would sing it for you, but I suggest we won't do that. And now I will show you what other tactics did they include to, again, build this behavior change model. So in addition to this, let's say this core campaign idea, they also had worked together with an NGO that was explaining more about iron deficiency and also how, again, green leafy vegetables and fortified foods could help on that. So that helped to make it understood. They also were signing up people on a mobile network where this message was reinforced. All right, so this is how they made it understood. To make it easy, again, they came up with the slogan, obviously, they made a jingle, but they also had a dance that actually the Unilever agents and the sales reps and the sales agents would do. And it was also promoted in certain cooking events. To make it more desirable, of course, they had Omotola, which is a famous Nollywood star featured in the campaign, but they also did more on the grassroots level by involving local leaders. And as I said, they had this platform where you could sign up and receive messages. Now, I think this was done in a very appealing way. They didn't say, like, do you want to sign up and get messages? No, they said, do you want to be part of the bright future society? So I think that is where they did very well. They made it a very appealing concept. And also people that were part of this group received a door sticker so they could really show to the community that they were part of this community. So after making it desirable, to push it even further, they came up with a campaign to make it rewarding, meaning the use of these cubes, by a very simple loyalty card. This was really a A5 where you could receive stickers from your sales agent of your shop. And if you collected 10 stickers after buying 10 boxes of bouillon cubes, you would receive a free bar of soap. Now, again, this wasn't expensive. It was printed just around the corner. And it was interesting to see what the uptake was. And actually 43% of more than a couple of thousands of loyalty cards we handed out, more than 40% was actually handed in. So it showed how pretty cost-effective loyalty programs actually can really be implemented and effective driving behavior. And lastly, to make it a habit, of course, the sales agents and the sales reps of Unilever selling the product would repeat this message, and the message was re-emphasized via mobile. So if you all combine these sort of tactics combined, the sales almost tripled in a month, in the first month. The sales sort of sustained, and the signups on the platform were about close to 5,000 in a matter of 2.5 months. And as I said, 43% of all the loyalty cards got redeemed. So that was a pretty interesting insight to see. In the last example, and I think I can stick within my 20 minutes, is Mogul Foods. It's a SME from Kenya. It's cassava flour, and it's also fortified. And we try to basically learn from the Unilever because, of course, they're the giants and the experts on marketing. And we try to take those tactics and apply them together with the SME. So as you can see here, this is how the campaign looked like. We try to, again, make the product appealing, have the family in there. And you have to forgive me, my Swahili is a bit low these days, so I forgot what the slogan was, but I think we did our best to make it resonate. We applied similar ways. So first, we had a lot of tangible physical activities, such as, again, the posters that were put on the shops, as you can see here. We had several cooking events, again, very similar to Unilever, to, again, promote the product and the brand. We made sure that the product was shown at chamas, which are local female saving groups. And we also put the loyalty cards. But what was different here, as you might know, Kenya is a bit of a front runner in terms of the uptake of smartphones and the use of social media and so forth, was that we actually promoted this also digitally. And that is where it gets interesting. So a lot of the promo codes were actually sent out via WhatsApp groups and Facebook advertisement. And we even leveraged the free network that you can get when you travel by public bus in Nairobi to make sure that the advertisements of Mogul was featured in there. And in all these advertisements, they would receive discount coupons that they could redeem in their local shops. So here you can see, again, someone receiving a coupon that could be redeemed in the shop. And this is really where we try to sort of take our learnings from behavior change and really try to see what can you do with digital? Can you innovate it further? And can you really leverage this ongoing, well, I wouldn't call it trend, but change in terms of how you can organize your marketing and distribution and behavior change modeling? So this is where I close. I think I kept in time. My 3 takeouts are, when you're in the nutrition space, try to see how you can develop a real relevant product. And the product goes just beyond, the formulation. It's about getting the messaging right, making sure that it's relevant, it sticks, and it meets both the needs and the wants of your end consumer. Try to see if you can design an integrated campaign that really thinks through all these steps, so that you potentially can really change behavior, influence behavior, and ultimately have repeated purchase and behavior change of your end customer. And of course, the next frontier is how you can learn from digital and see how you can leverage digital in your promotional campaigns. Thanks. I hope this was worthwhile, and I hope this was good for the Thursday afternoon. I'll give it back to the moderators, and we have time for Q&A later on. So, and also please get in touch. Website, my email address is here. Feel free to reach out, and I'm keen to interact with you after this webinar as well.
Thank you so much, Nick. That was really amazing. I really liked the final note with which you left in terms of making the product relevant, designing to integrate behavioral change through campaigns, and also to leverage digital. And, just to really recap most of what you said, and from the very beginning to the end, you've really captured the true essence of targeting and innovating for the base of pyramid. I actually, what you said about answering the question of what the consumer really wants really resonates with me, because I've seen that so many businesses out there are just creating businesses because they want to be in a job, and they do not take the time to understand what the consumer wants, and that's really critical. Thank you for pointing that out. And also to pull on the 5 levers of innovation. Make it understood, make it easy, make it desirable, make it rewarding, and make it a habit such that the consumers will have to buy your product every single day. Thank you so much for sharing that. We will move on swiftly to our next speaker, who is Aisha Raheem, and who will be making a presentation on targeting and serving low-income consumers. And Aisha is the founder and vision director of Farms to You. And I will be reading out her profile. She's the founder of Farms to You, as I've mentioned, which is an agri-tech enterprise based in Nigeria and serving sub-Saharan African markets. She is a British-Nigerian national who moved back to the continent to address the challenges of food sustainability. Farms to You uses its software solution to enable precision agriculture, thus empowering the modern African farmer. Under her leadership, she has received recognition as a leading startup, like receiving a €5,000 grant from Shell Livewire in 2016, and recognition as a leading female entrepreneur by the Royal Academy of Engineering in 2019. She was Nigeria's 2019 World Summit Awards National nominee and is a participating enterprise on the United Nations Development Programs project on innovation in sustainable agriculture, Cultivate. Aisha is an economics graduate from Queen Mary University of London and has employed her skills in growing Farms to You to a team of 5 that is supported by leading institutions like Microsoft, through Microsoft for Startups and IBM. Using her skills and experience, Aisha's vision is to enable end-to-end food sustainability in Africa and support UN Sustainable Development Goals 2, that's zero hunger, and Goal 12, responsible production and consumption. Now, please join me in welcoming to the discussion today, Aisha Raheem. Aisha, are you able to share your video and your audio?
Thank you very much for that intro, Ramat. I hope everyone can see me all right.
Yes, we can see you.
But yeah, sure, great. Well, thank you for having me. Great to hear from from Nick just now, and I will share, I guess, from my perspective, how to target and serve low-income markets. So I'll just share my screen in a minute. Do I have permission to share?
Yes, you can share your screen, please.
Okay.
So while Aisha is sharing a screen, we expect that you might have some questions for our speakers. We will have a 20-minute Q&A where we will have participants unmute themselves to ask direct questions. But in the meantime, you can use the chat to drop your questions for Aisha and Nick. Since Aisha is just beginning her presentation, I would expect that some of the questions will be going to Nick at the moment. So keep them coming and we will try our best to get to them.
Okay, great. So I'll just speak very quickly in the next 15 minutes about how to think about innovating innovating for local markets, for local and low income consumer markets. So I guess I'll be speaking from the perspective as being a co-founder of Farms2You, which is an ag tech enterprise that is, as Ramat kindly shared, what we do is that we develop digital solutions for smallholder farmers that provide digital extension services as well as market access. And what that means is, so for instance, digital extension services is like what variety of seedlings should you be growing? For instance, if you're a rice farmer, if you're up in the north, maybe Kano, you should be growing Faro 44, or if you're down in the south, you should be growing a different variety. So that's what extension means. And then on the other side, we provide access to markets. So for instance, through our platform, farmers will be able to apply for loans, also buy high quality inputs. And when I say inputs, I'm talking about seedlings, fertilizer, also renting tractors, and also selling their produce at the end of the harvest to an off-taker. So that's what we do at Farms2You. And essentially what we're doing is we're serving we're providing a solution for an unserved market. What that means is, if you think about smallholder farmers who are our target audience, you know, they are often low income, often in rural areas. And so this market is, you know, has so many challenges in terms of infrastructure. So if we're dealing with smallholder farmers that are often in rural areas, we need to think about, okay, they might not have access to data, they might not have good enough energy supply as, you know, you might have in the city. So all these sort of challenges, you need to understand your market, you need to understand who you're serving, because without that understanding, you know, you're not going to develop a good enough solution. So using Farms2You as a case study, the solution we provide is directly in the D4 ag market segment. And what that just means is the digitalization for agriculture segment, which is estimated to be 90% untapped. So, you know, we live in a digital age where, you know, lots of people on social media. I'll be very surprised if the 125 participants I'm speaking to don't have social media accounts, you know, be it what. So this is the space that Farms2You is operating in, because we see that there's a huge opportunity in providing solutions through digitalization. But of course, you have to understand that in the context of the users that you have. We provide solutions for smallholder farmers, but of course, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that, okay, these smallholder farmers, do they have access to smartphones? Yes, smartphones are getting cheaper, because now you can get a smartphone like an itel, you can get it for 30,000 naira. So $50 to $100, just in case we have people that are not Nigerian on the call. So, you know, with those type of trends, we then see that, okay, there's an opportunity to continue building in this space. Something else as well, as in providing solutions for the segment of the low and underserved market, is also understanding your users' pain points. And it was briefly mentioned just by the last speaker as well as Ramat, where you don't just build a solution that you think people want. You need to understand what the pain points of your users are. So at Farms2You, one thing that we regularly do, we as I mentioned, we build solutions for smallholder farmers. So we're regularly speaking with them. Recently, we launched a pilot of loans for farmers in northern Nigeria. So essentially what that meant is through our platform, we were able to allow farmers actually I'll make this interactive and I'll share another screen so that I'm not just talking and I'm putting things into context. So hopefully you can still see my screen, but essentially this is our platform and this is what I'm referring to in terms of us allowing farmers to be able to apply for capital through our platform. So say for instance, I'm a rice farmer, I have 100,000 Naira and I have 10 hectares of land and I want to access FarmStew's digital extension platform. We would immediately advise that that capital is not enough, and we estimate a minimum of 30,000 Naira, and that's because of speaking with farmers, the experience of the pricing of inputs. That is all the information that we get together to provide to farmers. And then through the platform, they're able to apply for capital. They put in their bank name, they put in their account number, BVN. We then do a credit check and then are able to connect the farmer with a microfinance institution or a bank where they're able to receive a loan. And then that's disbursed into their FarmStew account as a digital wallet. So that protects the financial providers, so that's your MFI or your bank, who often find it challenging to loan money to farmers. So we build the solution by understanding the pain point from farmers' perspective. So in access to capital, in access to affordable loans was a huge pain point that we developed a solution to address. And as you can see, there's a digital platform available via a web platform. I mentioned earlier, not all farmers have access to a smartphone. So if you don't have access to a smartphone, how do you get access to a solution such as this? A component of our solution is available on via USSD technology. So that's like your star 737, or again, this is in the Nigerian context, but if you're joining us from a country other than Nigeria, Kenya is very big in terms of using USSD technology, and a lot of sub-Saharan African countries. I mentioned Kenya because of solutions like M-Pesa. So just going back to the presentation, understanding your users' pain points is a very good place to start from when you're trying to build solutions. So you're not building what you think people want, you're actually building based on evidence and the challenges they have. Again, in terms of comparing this to FarmStew, in terms of our case study, before building this solution, we made sure that we understood our target market. Our platform, as you can see, very digital. You need to have some tech savviness about yourself in terms of using our platform. We have the concept of, empowering the next generation of sub-Saharan African farmers and, becoming a modern farmer. And that's targeted towards youth farmers because the current average age of a farmer in sub-Saharan Africa is 65. That's not sustainable. In the long term, those folks would have to retire. So who is going to be growing our food? And already Africa is a net food importing continent. We can't feed ourselves. So if our demand, the people that are actually growing our food are getting older and retiring, we need to replace that demographic. Something else I wanted to touch on in terms of building such a business model is having in mind profitability for all. So building in this space, at least from my perspective, it's been very challenging in terms of the infrastructure challenges that farmers face, the pricing points, because of course you're dealing with the bottom of the pyramid. So if you're going to charge somebody 1,000 Naira a month, they obviously wouldn't be able to afford that, especially if they already have thin margins. So whilst you want to make profits, because of course a social enterprise can still be profit making, you also have to think about who your user is and what can they afford, and build your business model around that, which is what we've done at FarmStew. We only make money when the farmer makes money. So for instance, we charge commission not from the farmer but from our service providers. So using the example I just showed you, where we're able to facilitate a loan via our platform, when that loan is disbursed, we actually charge a commission on that loan, but it's not charged to the farmer. It's charged to the bank or the microfinance institution or whomever it is that actually facilitated that loan. And we do the same when we're able to sell farmers produce and when we support farmers in buying inputs like your seedlings, fertilizer, your tractor service. Long or too short, but those are just the key points that I wanted to touch on in terms of thinking about how to grow or rather develop a solution for the bottom of the pyramid. You really need to understand and come down to that level and understand what the user pain points are, building your solution around those pain points and making sure that in terms of your pricing model, they're realistic. Going back to our pricing model, before we actually came up with a commission model, in 2020, we actually tried a subscription model where we were looking to charge between 2,000 to 5,000 Naira monthly for access to our platform. And we found that adoption rate wasn't very high, especially because farmers struggled. They're not very cash fluid. So it's only when they've actually gone through a harvest that they then have the cash to afford things. So having that understanding then helped us to change our business model to better suit the users that we were serving. So I guess whatever business it is that you're doing, through the process of actually trying things out, piloting things, working with your users on a continuous basis, you then start to have a better understanding of the market, and then you're able to model your solutions better for that market. But yeah, that's it from me. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I'll hand it over to Ramat.
Thank you so much, Aisha. That was really beautiful. I was actually able to hold on to 4 very critical points. As Nick have said, you've also laid emphasis on aiming and targeting to know your audience. Understanding the customer's pain points, very important. I've seen that both of you talked extensively on this. The second being, you really focused on the pricing to ensure that the products and services are really affordable for the consumers. And this really comes from knowledge of the consumer, right, as you've said. So it's important to understand that. And I think also that Nick touched on that when he was showing us this versus that, in terms of there are some, products that are in small packages and there are some products that are packed in, say, 500 mils. And so those small packaging are really what your target audience can afford, so you have to give it to them in exactly such packaging to make sure that the pricing is right. You also mentioned something really critical and important, which is trusting the threshold of the consumers, knowing what they can afford, what they can take, and this you've done through piloting and testing continuously until you were able to reach a convenient pricing point for your company and the consumers. That's also really important. And then your flexibility and adaptability to change your business model to suit what you have seen on the field. So that data is important. That continuous interaction with your consumers are really important. And thank you so much for calling those insights out. And I believe that the participants as well have been able to gather as much from listening to your presentation. So we will go to the Q&A part of this conversation now. And I will implore the participants to use the raise hand button. So we will unmute you once we see your hands up. So if you have any questions for Nick or Aisha, use the raise hand button, 1. And 2, when you come online, start with your name, the name of your business, and go straight to your question. We do not want to take much time on this, and we want to actually reach as many participants that have questions as possible. So your name, business, your country, yes, and then state your question immediately. And yes, also mention the person who the question is addressed to, either Aisha or Nick. So let's go. I see Ikechukwu Amajuyi. So we will unmute you now so that you can ask your question. Ikechukwu Amajuyi. You can go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, so my name is Ikechukwu Amajoye. I'm a co-founder at KR Foods Palm Oil. So we harvest, process, and package and distribute palm oil. We are currently in 5 states across Nigeria. So, and I am very grateful for this webinar because it's been very insightful. But my question is around the area of pricing. So there are many palm oil brands targeting the supermarkets, but where you have a bulk of the impact is in the mass market where there's massive adulteration. So in trying to target the mass market, we are faced with the challenge of infrastructure in terms of the kind of technology available. So to improve the technology to meet the mass market demands is usually very expensive and not easily affordable for small businesses. So when considering that as an impediment, can it limit the chances of creating that impact for the mass market? Like, I don't know if you get my question.
What is your question for? And can you try to summarize it, because it's sounding long and we might not be able to pull out what you want answered exactly.
Okay, so when infrastructure is a problem, like the kind of technology required for production is a problem, is it wise to just pivot or still maintain your target in the mass market? That's targeted towards the first speaker. I didn't get it.
Okay, thank you, Ikechukwu. Nick, did you get the question?
Yeah, maybe not 100%, but I think I can perhaps provide some additional insight. So I think it's very important indeed to recognize that targeting the lower income segments indeed has a huge potential because of its size, but indeed it's extremely fragmented. So if you would focus on the middle and higher income groups, they go mostly live in urban, often shop at the more organized retail stores. But as we know, the lower income markets, indeed, they shop at the small stores that often have very fragmented distribution systems. So that is indeed a huge challenge. But at the same time, we see many companies, both small and large, that come up with dedicated distribution strategies to cover those type of shops as well. And if indeed you have to, of course, make sure that your product, as we discussed earlier, is relevant in terms of what you offer, including the pricing. But once that is accomplished, you do have to come up with indeed dedicated strategies on how to target them. And perhaps, as you saw in the first slides, this can mean that you have to work with a sales agent model. Maybe you can partner with local NGOs that have a very wide arm into this segment, right? Perhaps there are existing distribution businesses that already supply with typical goods that this end consumer purchase that you could partner with. So there are numerous ways how to deal with it, but indeed it needs to be a dedicated strategy because it's a different ball game than serving the structured middle and higher income market, I would say. I hope that maybe gives some insight.
Thanks so much, Nick. I hope that answers your question, Ikechukwu. And I would also implore that, Aisha, if you have any further insights, even if, and vice versa, really, even if the questions is not, are not asked, please feel free to jump in if you have further insights to share. We will unmute Sarah David to ask your question now. Sarah David, the floor is yours. Please go ahead with your question, your name first, your company, your country, and then go straight to your question.
Hi, good evening, Nourish Africa. My name is Sarah David Okoronkwo. I'm from Abia State and I'm a Nigerian. My question goes to Nick. So for a low income marketer, like you're just starting your business newly, so how do you make your markets rewarding? Because from your pyramid presentation, it looks like making your marketing rewarding attracts more customers. So how do you make it rewarding when you're just starting up and the income is not there for your startup business, is not there the way you expect it to be. Then secondly, please, can we have a slide of the presentation from Nick? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I am happy to cover that. And I think, you know, how to make it a success. I think a lot of companies, including, you know, large multinationals are wondering the same. And I don't think there's a silver bullet. And as I said, I think what you need to, how at least we would approach it is that you, yeah, I mean, almost where to start, right? I think again, it cuts across your entire business. So of course, it's about your product. And I said, what value do you offer? Pricing is a part of it, okay. But we also know that if you have a product that really offers more value, also the base of the pyramid consumer understands that. They understand what quality is. They understand what appeals to them. Obviously, they have dreams and desires. So if again, even with your marketing or with your branding, if you can find a way that you capture their interests, yeah, then on the product side, you know, you already have one step ahead.
Okay.
But yeah, just with your product alone, you're not there. So then you look at your marketing and your distribution. Then you look, as discussed, potentially in some partners. So then bit by bit, you basically structure your entire business model, so that it serves this particular strategy. But very often, and again, if we just look at some very successful cases, like even the Unilevers or what's or not, it's not that they can take a strategy that they have for penetrating Lagos, you know, and they copy it to Kano State, or they copy, even if they go to Ocean, it's a different game in terms of the business. So I think that is where you would indeed try to make a specific plan for this particular segment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nick. And we will share the presentation after the event today, so no worries about that. And if I can also, you know, share a bit of insight about what Sarah just mentioned now, and Nick has done justice to that. I just wanted to say really that we've seen from our experience with the Nourishing Africa Hub, where we have various agri-food members on the hub. We've seen that many of them, for example, can partner to maybe showcase their products at an exhibition or so. Maybe they're, you know, pulling together resources to exhibit at an event, and they're complementing each other's businesses. So for example, a cook might partner with somebody who's producing spices, for example. And when you purchase, when you go to the exhibition and you purchase a plate of, say, I don't know, jollof rice for those in Nigeria. And so when you purchase that plate, you also see within that plate, maybe in that pack, you see a bottle of spice. So that's a complementary partnership that allows you to provide free products to your consumers, and they're excited to see that. I don't know how many of you have got maybe a pack of Knorr cubes and you see some other things within the pack. So that's actually making them reward your consumers for purchasing your products, even though the price might be slightly high, but I've seen that model exhibited by a couple of agribusinesses that we work with. And I think it's important that I share that. So we will unmute somebody else, Moses Yaba Ayemlo. I am sorry if I murdered your name, please forgive, feel free to let us know the right pronunciation. Moses, the floor is yours.
Good evening, can you hear me? Good evening, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Moses Yaba Ayemilo from Abuja, Nigeria, co-founder of Right Capital Limited. Now, my question is for Aisha. Now, in this particular business, your name is, your reputation is at stake. Now, for the farmer, what are those plans that you've put in place in case if they fail? Can you hear me, ma?
Hi. Just to recap, your question is specifically about the loans.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes,
okay. Yes. So of course, this is a challenge that we continue to monitor. At the moment, the default rate of loans to farmers in Nigeria is actually 93%. So that means 93% of farmers don't pay back loans. So you can imagine that's why it's very difficult for farmers specifically smallholder farmers who are more risky than commercial scale farmers. That's why it's difficult for farmers to get loans. And this is why we have created a model where the farmer doesn't actually receive the cash in his or her account. They get it in a digital wallet. So if you're familiar with solutions like Paga, you don't actually get the money directly into the bank account, and the farmer is only able to spend the money for farming activities. So for instance, buying seedlings, fertilizer, buying tractors to clear their land. So through this medium, the risk of the farmer actually using the loan received for services other than farming is significantly reduced. So this is how we're able to hedge the risk of the farmer not paying back the loan, for instance.
Thanks, Aisha.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you so much. And I'll quickly move to somebody else so we can cover as many people as possible. We see the questions chat. I will get to that very soon. Sammy Otieno, you can unmute yourself and go ahead with your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm Sammy Otieno from Kenya, East Africa. My main question go to the last presenter. It's about the loaning. You know, like currently my farm is called Jibo Farm. We mainly deal with the production of eggs and also chicken meat with the cereals together. So the main problem we are having, I have had most of the loans especially are targeting Nigeria, but the kind of big problem you're having in Kenya accessing the loan to the SME, especially those who are doing agribusiness. I don't know how much can the platform help, especially me, because right now I have the demand, but I can't meet the demand because I can't get access to enough capital to meet the demands that I'm having outside there. Hello.
So what's your question?
Right, so okay. Sorry, what was the question? I'm not clear on the question.
How can I access either loan or an investor who can partner with me so that I get enough capital to meet the demand I'm having outside there in the market?
So just to be clear, the model I showed you this is not a case where an investor is investing in your business. It's a loan where typically similar to when you go to a bank and a bank requests that, or rather you're requesting a loan from a bank and they request certain documentation, proof of how you're going to pay it back, sometimes collateral. That's the same model that we're doing here, although making it more accessible via a digital platform. So that's what we do, just to be clear that it's not a partnership or an investor type of situation. Now, in response to the Kenya comments, now Farms to You is actually currently both in Nigeria and Kenya. The loan facility is currently available just in Nigeria. However, we are working with institutions such as the UNDP and the World Food Program to roll this out to Kenya. So at the moment it's not available, but of course, if you sign up on the platform and follow our newsletter for updates, you will be informed as to when it comes to Kenya. We have intentions of making it available in Kenya by early next year, but that remains to be seen.
So much, Aisha, and I would encourage you, Sammy, to visit the Nourishing Africa Hub. As my colleague Ola had shared earlier on the program, there are several funding opportunities on the Nourishing Africa Hub that you can actually leverage. So go to the hub and go to the funding page to access some of these resources. I'll read out some questions from the chat now, and then that would actually wrap up the Q&A session. We're unable to go through everything. And so the first one is on market segmentation. Do you think it is viable? It is a viable strategy for an agribusiness to charge a premium cost to its high-income consumers so that it can help to compensate for the low margins received from the low-income consumer segments? And this person has not indicated who the question is directed at, but I would go to Nick first, and feel free to jump in, Aisha, if you have other insights to share on this as well. So,
yeah, I think I mean I think that's definitely the case as long as you make a profit on both units. We did have some occasions where people lowered their pricing towards the BOP till such an extent that it actually was making a loss, and that of course is not the best idea, because once it gets success, you're just suffering only more. So make sure, yeah, indeed, that both units are sort of profitable, but you can, of course, charge a higher margin on your high income segment. And I think that is, again, also very common with larger businesses as well, where sometimes they have under the same brand multiple products, or even they have the same product but in multiple brands targeted at specific segments indeed. So that can definitely be a smart strategy if you have the bandwidth basically to do that. So yeah.
Thanks, Nick, for that. And the second one I'll read from the chat is from Rosie's Organic Foods. And Rosie's is saying that she processes dry, fresh fish of all type and package and sell to consumers. But the customers are saying that, I think Rosie's use an engine to process her fish, and the customers are saying that the engine processed fish is not as sweet or delicious as those that are processed locally. And so she's wondering how to penetrate these low income markets, given this particular challenge of using the sophisticated equipment versus using the more cruder equipment, the local oven, which the consumers have said is actually more delicious than that is processed using the sophisticated equipment. So for this, Aisha, I don't know if you have some insights to share about it.
Can you just summarize? I'm not entirely sure on what the question is there.
So Rose is looking to maybe, so the consumers are asking for her to use the local equipment, and she wants to understand how to go about fashioning that model to penetrate the low income markets.
Okay, gotcha. So this goes to if you can't serve everybody, if you try to serve everybody, then I guess you serve nobody. So it's like the consumers who are asking you to use this local medium, is that your core market? Is that your target market? Then if that's your target market, it's worthwhile exploring mediums through which you have to tailor your solution to meet that market in terms of pricing, in terms of costs, because you can't have a bespoke process where you're serving different type of customers. That would just balloon your costs. So it's a case of understanding what the user profile of who you're serving is, and then building your cost model around that. Without understanding the specifics, I think hopefully that gives an idea of how you can approach that. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Aisha. And I would implore participants to please provide as much details as possible. When you're typing, it's easy to misconstrue what you mean. So we understand that not everybody would want to speak out their questions. So you have to provide as details as possible when you type out your questions. So that would actually bring us to the end of the Q&A, but we still have some 10 minutes to actually hear from the participants. So we understand that there are a couple of people that have some insights to share on the particular topic, or you just want to summarize your key takeaways. So within 10 minutes, we'd want to call on 2-3 participants to share some of their experiences. Typically, we will do this in a breakout room, but the time is really short. So we will call on some of you. Please raise your hands if you would like to share some of your experiences, either from your business model that you're implementing that is targeting the low-income consumer market, or you really want to just share some key takeaways that you've derived from this particular session. So we would love to hear from you as well. Let's see your hands and we will call on you. Some hands are still raised from the Q&A session. I hope that you can put your hands down so we know those who actually want to just share their own experiences from their businesses and from this session as well. So I would go to Bella Brown Foods, Sarah Babalola. I think that's a new hand. So you can unmute and please go ahead with your experience sharing.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm very glad to be part of this section. Actually, what I want to share, just like you said about my modifying my business model. When I started my business, I actually targeted babies. I was into baby food, and I realized that penetrating the market was somewhat difficult, and some people are trying to bring up some other modifications one can include. So later on, I had to read up and then look into how I can introduce that into my business. So I now try and have another aspect of that business, not necessarily giving away the one I initially had. And when I brought that one, I now have two products now presently. So when I brought the second product, it now began to move the business forward than it was before. I'm actually coming from the point of the last question that was asked, that when people began to ask you that you should go for the local, when there is market segmentation, when you do that, that will be able for you to address everybody's need, and then you move your business forward. From there, later on, you can streamline if you want, or the other way around. So that's what I want to contribute. And I also want to thank even the facilitators and then the presenters of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And I know that I think that's really useful for other participants out there. So I think I'll take just one more person. Some hands are still up, so it's really confusing who actually wants to speak at this segment. But let's take Olalekan Balogun. Olalekan Balogun, you can unmute yourself, and now you would actually help us wrap up this segment before we move on. Please go ahead to unmute yourself.
Good evening, North Africa.
Good evening.
My name is Ola Balogun. Ours is Innovative Corporate Market Developers. We are based in Kaduna, Nigeria. We're into mixed farming. We produce birds. We also grow maize and cassava. The challenge we have is infrastructural shortfall, bad roads to the farm. Then in this kind of situation, then there are a lot of competitors. Then we don't have enough to actually do our business as we would have loved to. And we find it very difficult to even access loan. We've tried. That's one of the reasons why we came to North when we got the information about North Africa, and then we applied. In a nutshell, how do we have a better market share in an environment that is not friendly, especially with infrastructural decadence? So what do we do? What strategies will North Africa advise that we apply so that we can have a better market share?
Okay, I believe that's actually specific to Nourishing Africa, even though this session is actually for the speakers and on the topic. But what I would quickly say is that Ola Balogun, so you need to actually continue to engage in these kinds of conversations where you can gain further insights on your business model and how to continue to pivot that model until you are able to address the right audience, the right investors, the right stakeholders for your business, and partnerships are really important, right? So these kinds of platforms where you can actually engage other entrepreneurs, it is really important that you learn to engage in the ecosystem to continue learning. And of course, to listen to your customers as well, institute a feedback process where you can understand the insights that are coming from your customers as well, and a whole lot of other channels through which you can get data and information. Essentially, keep yourself plugged into the ecosystem so that you understand what is happening there. I hope that helps a bit. But swiftly moving on, we've come to the end of the conversation today. I see some questions are still coming in. We have ended the Q&A. Apologies, time is not a friend of anybody. So on updates and next steps, very quickly, so that we can actually still engage our facilitators when we want to take the group photo. You can move the slide. So we'll quickly take you through how to become members of the Nourishing Africa platform. There are actually opportunities on the platform that even existing members are not leveraging. And for you who are not members yet, I would really encourage you to check out the Nourishing Africa platform and engage and connect with the community. The community is a whole lot on its own because you can learn from each other across geographical locations and of course, other opportunities on there. So you would see the benefits of your membership on the screen. I don't need to read all of that out. And when you want to join the hub, just go to the platform and then through these 5 steps, you can become members. You also can follow us on social media. We share quite a whole lot. It's a knowledge hub and we share a whole lot through our social media. And of course, you need to subscribe to our newsletters to continue to receive updates. We share 2 newsletters with our members with opportunities and industry news and updates. And then we share a general newsletter as well. And please, we want you to provide feedback about this particular session. So it helps us to improve on what next to bring to the first Thursday. So the next month, for example, your feedback will help us to tailor that session to what you want. It's all about receiving your feedback and knowing what you want and giving it to you, right? And that's what we're here for. And yes, we want you to save the date for our Nourishing Africa Act 1 virtual country roadshow. We will be going on a country roadshow across 8 countries in Africa, from Angola to Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Kenya, Mozambique, Senegal, South Africa, and Zambia in 1 month. And we will be having this event in your language, in Angola, in Portuguese, in Mozambique, in Senegal, in French. And so we want to really be connected. We will soon announce this on social media, but save the date and watch out for the announcements on social media. You're really the first group to be hearing about our roadshow. Next slide. Is my internet connection stable? Next slide, we can move on. And yes, we've come to the group photo aspects. We really love to take our group photos, so we will implore that you please turn on your video so we can take a very quick photo with our facilitators, Aisha and Nick. We crave your indulgence to turn on your video and let's have this in gallery view so we can have a group photo for the social media. And please put on a smile. It's evening. I know we're all tired, but I hope that these presentations today have really gone a long way to provide some insights on some next steps for your businesses. And I hope we all have a wonderful night. Ify, can you do us the honors? And please, if you would want us to tag you on this photo on social media, please drop your social media handle in the chat right after we take the photo and we'll tag you so you can share as well. So put on a good smile, let's take our photo. Ify, are we good to go? Is the photo okay?
Thank you.
Is it good? Are we good?
We are good.
Thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate the time. We appreciate the insights that you've shared to our facilitators. To those who have asked those awesome questions, it's really because of you that we're here. And we hope that everything that you've learned on this program would really help you to drive your businesses forward. And just to close us out, I'm going to share the results of the poll that we have taken today. And as usual, we are seeing 78% of the participants coming from West Africa. You guys are really the best. I don't know why West Africa likes to take first in everything we do, but shout out to you for always attending First Thursdays, followed closely by East Africa. I know my Kenyan people form a bulk of this East African population. And we see that, as usual, opportunities for your businesses are what you're here for. And we hope that we have been able to share quite a number of that at this session. And we're seeing that many of you own or work for an agribusiness. We are here for you. First Thursdays is always here for you. And that's why we have these sessions. And in terms of the challenges for your businesses that are addressing the low-income consumer market, these are low profit margins. I am sure that the insights that Aisha and Nick have shared today would really help you to, think about some strategies to implement. And like I always say at First Thursdays, it's not really, all about providing those solutions on the spot. It's about critically thinking about what has been shared so that you can move your business forward. And for our members who are on the hub, we see that quite a number of you are already members. Kudos to you, shout out to you. Thank you for your membership on the hub. And we hope that those of you who are not members yet will join the Nourishing Africa Hub. On this note, I say thank you once again for attending First Thursdays June edition. We hope to see you in July. Have a wonderful evening and stay safe. Bye-bye.